Chapter 6 talks about groups and organizations. I'm going to introduce what are groups, and I'm going to talk about leadership styles and end with bureaucracies. Social groups begin when you have two people or more, and you have social groups that are divided into two. One is called primary groups, which are very important in our lives. It can include family or lifelong friends. They play a crucial role in our development. Secondary groups are then larger groups that are actually together for a small period of time and then they disband. And so these tend to be goal oriented or tend to be impersonal. When you have groups, there are dynamics that occur when you are interacting with other human beings. We have something that's called in-group conformity, which basically means that members can pressure each other to conform. So, for example, if I join a basketball team and I decide I don't really want to dribble or bounce the ball, I want to kick it with my feet, I'm not conforming to the rules of that group. And so, when I don't conform, I may be asked to leave. And so that creates an out-group exclusions because individuals use each other as a reference. So if I'm in a basketball team, others will look towards their team members to say, okay, we're supposed to all be doing basketball. So why is this person wanting to kick it with their feet? And so that happens with everything else in our lives. When we are with groups that help us to be comfortable, where we join groups because we want to, or we're have groups that are part of our family that we are born into, you have this in-group and out-group relationship. Some of the elements of group dynamics is also the size. As I mentioned, you need to have two people to form a group, but you can have groups that are huge networks. And through social media, this is starting to change because before groups would be people that you would see, people that you actually had a personal contact with. Now we actually have a very impersonal networks where we could have hundreds, if not thousands, of people in our network, and we may not necessarily know these individuals. Now, research indicates that triads, having groups of three, is the strongest form of group that you can have. Diversity is also important in social groups. Socially diverse groups, groups that say we'll have males and females, young and old, wealthy and working class individuals, they tend to be outward. They tend to open outward to try to understand the world around them. There's some groups, though, that physically segregate themselves for survival because of tradition. And these groups, then, they tend to turn inward because they only are referencing people that are like them. So, for example, when we have a boys' club or a girls' club, those are segregated groups that tend to only have influence by individuals that are just like them. And now we come to the leadership role in group dynamics. The first part basically talks about goals of leaders. One goal is to have tasks be completed, so to complete work. Others is to talk about the well-being or address the well-being of members of the group. Now, both of these have weaknesses and strengths, and we're going to allude to these when we come to the leadership styles. Now, there's three types of styles, and the best leaders are those that have elements of all of these, where you don't go to the extremes. A democratic leader basically asks everyone to decide on something that needs to have a decision made. These are very good leaders for everyone to have input, but they are bad leaders if they take too long to come to a decision and they miss deadlines, or they don't come to a consensus because of individuals who are at the extremes. A laissez-faire leader is one that says, I'm going to leave you on your own. You're all adults. I don't have to be watching over you. You can get the work done. This is the best type of leader for individuals who are self-motivated, self-directed. They're the worst type of leaders for those individuals who need a lot of guidance, for individuals who are not self-guided. And so these types of leaders can get in trouble because a due date may come and maybe the team didn't do what they were supposed to, and then they get in trouble. An authoritarian leader then demands complete obedience from their members. This is a good leader who gets the work done, but it's the worst type of leader to try to have people feel happy or feel content. This individual may assume responsibility for things that go right or wrong. However, the individual members may feel very unhappy with this type of leader. And so the best types of leaders are those that have elements of all of these. One who knows how to let people be autonomous, be free if they know that these individuals are self-guided, and knows when they have to step in to say, well, we are falling behind in the schedule. Now I need to step in to get this done. So for you, the best type of leader is that person who has elements of all of these. So if you can practice having all of these types of styles, it can make you an incredibly effective leader for the future. Formal organizations then are where we went from small groups to now huge organizations. And formal organizations are impersonal. They tend to be very big. They can be organized around a common goal. Normative organizations tend to be voluntary organizations where people volunteer to be in those because of certain goals that they may have. Then we have what are called coercive organizations. These are where individuals are forced to join, and when they're forced to join, their life is completely controlled. So, for example, if I have a lot of speeding tickets and I haven't paid them, I may be, and there's a warrant out for my arrest, I may be forced to join a coercive organization because I didn't pay my tickets. The last one is called utilitarian. And this is where we all hope to join, where we work, and when we work, we hope that we get a material reward. In other words, we work so that we can get paid. So I conclude this chapter with bureaucracies. Bureaucracies are organizations that are designed around the scientific model and that sense of rational and efficient behavior. But there are some challenges with these types of organizations because they form a hierarchy. And a hierarchy basically is a ranking of people where some individuals have to wear uniforms and others wear suits. Some people work in cubicles or have no private space, and others work in offices that maybe have their own bathrooms. So hierarchy basically tells people that some are higher up and some are getting paid more than others. Specialization is also an issue where individuals may say, I was only hired to do this one thing. And so if someone is absent and you ask me to do that other thing, I can't do it because I was hired only to do this. And there's many rules and regulations that people have to follow. So, for example, individuals may be forced to clock in and clock out. They may be told if you are a few seconds late, we're going to know and we're going to highlight your name, or we're going to come and report it at a monthly meeting. And so when that happens, people's feelings may not be taken into consideration. It becomes an impersonal type of environment. And when that happens, individuals, when they feel they are being disrespected, they may actually sabotage the company because they're feeling that they're not being taken care of. And so instead of being efficient, they end up having a very inefficient work structure where work might not get done because people are calling in absent because they're sick, or people may pretend that they're working but they're really not. And so we end with oligarchy. This is where the majority of people are ruled over by a few people. And that sense that, oh, those individuals are better than us can actually have negative